Hey everybody, welcome to View from the Top podcast, where we help growth-minded men who desire momentum in their business, their family, and their finances get through the valleys and up the mountain to their very own View from the Top. Man, I am so glad you're again back with us. Once again, this week, we have a fantastic episode today. We're going to be diving into and talking about the idea of lifestyle business versus maybe what you consider traditional business. So we're going to dive into that and talk about those things, what they look like, what's the pros, what's the cons. And we've got in the studio with us today, we got Big A as normal. Hey, Big A, welcome.
Hey, Wally. Good to see you.
And we've also got Allan Blain joining us today to have a conversation. And we'll get Allan his lowdown on what he's all about here in just a minute. But welcome, Allan, man. I'm so glad you're joining our conversation today.
Hey, I'm pumped to be here with you too. Thank you.
You might not say it at the end. We'll see.
You might not. We'll see. I don't know. You may not be so glad we'll get in here and go through. But man, Wally, you had a good week? Everything going good?
Yeah, so far so good, man. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it shapes up the rest. But so far,
you can't mess up too much on a Tuesday. Allan, what about you? Things going well?
It's been a great week. Just got done with my ISI mastermind here a couple hours ago, and it was another great hour of my week.
That's good, man.
That's cool.
Man, you have really dove into Iron Sharpens Iron Mastermind. Every time I see you, you've got a new connection, a new relationship. It's pretty exciting stuff to see you so involved. So hope it's been beneficial.
It is exciting. It's been very, very beneficial, and I sing the mastermind's praises every chance I get. Was just on a 30-minute Zoom yesterday with an old friend, sharing with him the benefits that I've received from it. So,
cool.
Love passing along good stuff that's helpful to other people.
Well, man, we're so glad you're here today to talk about lifestyle businesses because you're king of the lifestyle business. I mean, you've done such a remarkable job with what you're doing. But before we get there, though, Wally, I had a question I wanted to ask both of you guys. It's like when you're stuck, I mean, you're absolutely marred up in the mud. Like, how do you break free from that? Because I'm seeing so many guys today that are stuck in indecision. They just are straddling the fence. They cannot decide. They're afraid they're going to make a mistake. If I go this way, this could happen, and this way, that could happen. Allan, you've reached many forks in the road, right? Over the course of your career, you've had multiple businesses. What is kind of a way that you have decided to make your decisions? What do you do when you get to that proverbial fork in the road?
It's a great question. What I set out to do, and I haven't always done as well, but my advice to anyone else and what I do now is I love James 1:5, and I take great comfort in that passage that talks about if any man or woman lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all men liberally, and goes on to talk about asking in faith also, not wavering and being wish-washy. And so I think that's the first and foremost thing. One thing I haven't always done very well in the past, and I've learned to do better, is to consult my wife and run things by her and get her counsel and input and weigh that heavily also into the decision. And then, of course, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And so just having as many other ideally godly men that I can bounce these ideas off of have been huge for me.
Wally, what do you do?
I'm a list guy. I mean, I could back up.
Am I surprised, Allan? Are you surprised that Wally is
not at
this
all.
guy?
I could back up multiple things that Allan just said.
Yeah.
I think a practical thing that I do is like I write stuff down. Well, that's in my journal. It's so much easier to like see it and be like, okay, it de-risks it a lot of times, right? Because when you have it in your head, it's like just kind of floating around in there and you can't really put a value to it, right? It kind of equals out with everything else and it's hard to weight it. So if you write it down, it's easier to weight it against other things that are floating out there when you have to make a decision.
I'm on the other spectrum, quite honestly, and I thought about this a lot, is that like I make decisions really quick and I have my entire career, right? I'm not a risk-averse kind of guy.
Big A's one of those guys where if you asked him today, he actually made the decision yesterday.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Right.
But you know what I found out though, Wally, and you've experienced this working with me for a number of years, when it's around a relationship, it's a whole different level of my process because our number one core value is relationships matter most. And so I give that a lot more thought when it's affecting a relationship. When it's a business decision or it's a financial decision, I got to tell this quick story. So we're sitting in my office, I don't know, a while back, and told Wally I'd bought a new truck. And he said, well, when did you get it? And I said, well, just the other day. But the first time I saw it is when they delivered it. He goes, you didn't go up there and go over it and check it out and look at it? I said, no, it's got these 3 things I didn't even know it had on. And he lost his mind when I told him that it had running boards on it, that I didn't even know it had running boards on it, But it's funny because those kind of things for me personally, it's just not that tough a decision. If I don't like it, I won't get another one. But when it's the relationship, I think for me, that's most important. And I don't want to burn the bridge, and I want to love people well. And so making the decisions for me relationally is a lot harder. And so, yeah. Hey, let's get into talking about building a lifestyle business. Allan, you've owned numbers of businesses. You've done a great job, and a lot of them, not all of them, we've all had some hiccups, right?
Right.
But tell us some of the businesses that you've owned and how they aligned with maybe some of the recent things you're doing in your lifestyle business.
Yeah, well, most of my businesses that I've owned, actually aside from the current business that I own now, that I've owned for the last 8 years, I guess it's been now a little over 8 years, were in the real estate, construction, property management, home flipping arena. So pretty much all things real estate, a variety of different things in real estate. And the most recent business that I owned in that regard, I ended up exiting. When I say exiting, gave away in 2016. And that was a business that was having a great deal of success, but it definitely was not a business I would call a lifestyle business. I know we were just kind of chit-chatting about what is a lifestyle business, what's not a lifestyle business. And, that may be debatable. It's depending on how someone wants to define it.
Well, let's go there. So what is it for you?
Yeah.
Like when you say this one wasn't and this one is, like, what are those differentiating factors for you?
It's, first of all, it's something I'd never thought about aside from the 30 seconds we just spent chatting about it before we hit record today. But I think what I would say, and I may change my answer later, but when I give it more thought, but what I think it is for me, a lifestyle business is one that gives you freedom regardless of the size or the scope of the business. So regardless of the size of it or the scale of it, you have freedom of time, freedom of geography, financial freedom ideally as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas the traditional business, what I would say is maybe not the freedom model, is it can be a lifestyle business as well. But what differentiates it is to have any scale to it, it is dependent upon having the right team in place. This is what I'm just thinking. You have to have the right team in place, or you don't have the lifestyle. You've got a job, maybe a high-paying job, but you've got a job running and managing your business. And so I think that for me is the difference. Yeah, you could accomplish a lifestyle business with traditional business, but with what I would call a lifestyle business, you have a lifestyle business regardless of the size or scale of it.
Allan, this may be deviating a little bit from our topic, but I'll try to reel us back pretty quick. You just said something that I think it's important for the listener not to miss. And oftentimes, I've even agitated a few people saying this. I am a coach, and so I do coaching one-on-one. But one-on-one coaching is not a business. It's a high-paying job because we're trading our time for money. Is that right? Would you agree with that?
100%.
And so I'm not saying that we can't make a living out of coaching and we can have the freedom to do certain things. But at the end of the day, someday, at some point, even when I started Iron Sharpens Iron Mastermind, it dawned on me with the one-on-one coaching only, with no recurring revenue model, that one day I was going to lock the door and turn out the lights and it was going to be over. There was going to be no asset there to sell. It's the very reason that we created Iron Sharpens Iron Mastermind that has recurring revenue. There's facilitators that lead the groups. I'm over the groups, obviously, and casting the vision. Wally's heavily involved in the business and systems and processes, and he stitches everything together, makes everything run smoothly. But now I can be away, and did 2 years ago, took 2 months off, And that was a lifestyle business, right? Because we had recurring revenue. It wasn't dependent on me to be there to exchange time for money. And I think it's important that all of us think through that for ourselves and not lie to ourselves that we've got a lifestyle business when we're just exchanging time for money. So, I just didn't want to gloss over that as we were talking over what a lifestyle business is. Wally, what about you? How do you define it?
Okay, so I'm going to back up because we're all kind of getting our what we think it is and what we think it's not. And there's guys listening to this podcast right now that are like, well, I have an automotive repair shop, so I'm not going to listen to the rest of this podcast because I'm never going to have a lifestyle business. And I'd encourage you to pause for a second. And here's why. I think there's a strict definition of what a lifestyle business is. And I think, Allan, you described that like real well. But there's a lot of guys out there that have businesses that are bricks and mortar type style businesses where they need to be the leader right now. And they don't think of their business as being able to create a lifestyle business. And to me, that just means they need to figure out what lifestyle they want. So their lifestyle for them may be different than yours. I know it would be. It'd be different than mine.
Sure. All of our three would be different.
Maybe the geographic for them isn't reasonable, so that's not part of their freedom. But maybe it's the time and the money that they can build into their business. So I just would encourage everybody listening that has a business, there is some level of lifestyle that you can create for yourself within your business that will help you, especially if I think we focus on it. I think it helps create more freedom for us in multiple areas over time if we're intentional about it.
I think that's the key, though, being intentional, not being reactive, but proactive in what it is that you want to develop.
Yeah. And that can be a little different for everybody, but there's some things we're going to talk about today. I think that as we go through them, that hopefully it gets everybody thinking about, man, like I do have a job. And there's a difference between having a job and having a business. And so I do have a job, or I'm thinking about my business with too many limitations that I've accepted the perceived reality that I can't enhance my lifestyle and create a lifestyle that I want, still have this, automotive repair shop or whatever it is. So I think we ought to just cast aside limiting beliefs for a minute and soak through what we're going to talk about and then maybe make some different decisions. Allan, you're going to say something?
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring out, Wally, and something just from my past experience, and I'm not saying what I did was ideal. It wasn't ideal. But just one example of application of what you just shared, I had a traditional brick and mortar business geographically located in Central California. I chose to not want to raise my family there. So my business was there, but I chose to raise my family for 10 years in northeast corner of Washington State on an 8-acre ranch. Now, what that meant was I did a little bit of flying. I did a little bit of traveling, commute. I had a long commute to work. And I was gone a few nights each week, especially those early years of building the business up. But it was a choice we made as a family. And it's just one of many examples, not that anyone should or could do that, but just to think outside the box. I had a cousin that had a business in LA, chose to raise his family in Oregon, and took that $5 million business. I watched him take it from a $5 million business to a $13, $14 million business over the next 5 years, just to show me that, hey, I can think outside the box of lifestyle and still accomplish even scalability in a traditional brick and mortar. His was a factory, a manufacturing facility. So anything's possible.
And I think as we move forward with this conversation today, let's get one thing out of the way right now. So many people will hear the word lifestyle and think easy.
Oh,
let's just dispel that right now.
Debunk that myth right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. This 20 years that it's taken me to build a lifestyle business wasn't easy.
No,
right?
It's not.
No.
Yeah, a lot of work. Allan, let's talk a little bit about your current business. For those that don't know, share what it is. And then my question is was that intentionally designed to be a lifestyle business, or did it kind of morph into that?
Absolutely, it was intended to be a lifestyle business. There was no morphine for me. I was in a business, like I said, in traditional business in the real estate industry and construction up until 2015 when I started this secondary business, which is what my primary business is today. My wife and I get to work together from home, marketing nutritional supplements, representing a network marketing company's products. So that's the business we chose. And we chose that business because we had a 15-year history with the company of being customers and seeing the value the products were delivering and believing that this offers value in the marketplace. This is our tent business. This could be our tent business, like we saw Paul had to give us that freedom to live anywhere, go anywhere, serve anywhere, and really impact lives. So that was a big, important thing for us, and that we could do it together. So we started our business in 2015 just as a sideline thing. It was 2016 that it became, it was able to support our family of 8, and that's when I gave my traditional business away to my younger brother and 2 younger cousins.
Let's go back because I think you said something important there too. It maybe didn't morph into a lifestyle business, but it didn't start out your primary objective either, right? So let's talk about that a little bit because that gives a lot of hope to a lot of listeners today, seeing how successful you've become over a period of time, but you gradually walked into it. You just didn't sever the ties on your existing business and then go into this new thing. So unfold that for us. Tell us how that worked out.
Well, it was something that my wife, Nicole, and I had, again, going back to one of the first conversations we started this episode with is, how do you make these kind of decisions? And we had been praying about where God wanted to take us as a family, as a couple, and how my occupation, which was taking a great deal of time away from the family. Again, I chose to live 2 states away from my brick and mortar business. And we both were on board with not raising our family in that particular area for a variety of reasons. And so we sought God's wisdom on what would be something that would check all the boxes. We wanted something that we could do together. We wanted something I could do from home. We wanted something that we could have no geographic boundaries. That if God called us, it's still on my radar, but really thought God was going to call us maybe to go to a third world country for a period of time, 6 months, a year. I didn't know. And that hasn't happened, but to have the ability to go and do and serve in any way. So it just kind of, I didn't want to sell widgets. I wanted to do something that, I was making an incredible living doing what I was doing before, but I wanted something, it had to be more than the money for me. And so that's why this particular business for us just happened to check all the boxes and why we excitedly started it, again, on the side, just praying that it would be able to develop into something that could sustain us. And 16 months later, it was. And yeah, so it was a process of building up this other business, the lifestyle business, at the same time managing and running my current business, which was a substantial size business. It wasn't just some small little thing that I was just going to leave on the curb for somebody to maybe pick up or to die. I mean, we had 50 employees. We had some substantial things happening. I had my 2 little cousins and younger brother involved with me in business that I wasn't going to just leave high and dry. So yeah, it was a transition period. I don't know if that answers your question, Big A.
Yeah, that's good. Give a shout out to the business. Yeah, tell us. You've just said give a shout out to it.
To my current business?
Yeah, the current business.
Yeah, I represent a market supplements for a 65-year-old company that nobody to this day here in North America, I shouldn't say nobody because our mutual friend Robbie Gallaty had heard the name, but 99.9% have never heard of 65 years later. But the company's name is Neolife, Neolife, and some incredible food-based supplements that we're pretty passionate about 23 years later after using them daily.
I was going to say, Nicole was using those early on, right? And it was life transforming for her. And that's what piqued your interest. Is that right?
Yeah, so she was about 26 years old, both of us college athletes, 3 children later, 26 years old, diagnosed with several health conditions. And it was a couple-year journey before we even found the company. And that was 40 years into their existence. They're based in California. We were living in California, had never heard the name. But anyway, anyway, so got started on the products. Yeah, it was about 6 months before her body was able to, I always love to talk about how God made our bodies. We're fearfully and wonderfully created. The Psalm says, believe it's Psalms said, talks about, David said, I think it was. But anyway, and it's so amazingly true. But oftentimes we're lacking so much from our modern day over processed, commercialized diet. So it's fun to see what happens when the body does what the body was designed to do when it's given what's so desperately lacking. So yeah, we became firm believers in nutrition in general, eating well and filling the gaps with what we don't get in our diet from more food in supplement form.
That's so cool.
I have a question. Thank you for sharing that. I have a question to go back a little bit on your story that you were sharing. So this substantial business that you had built in California, you gave it to your brother? Did I hear you say that correctly?
Well, I was a quarter owner with my little brother and my two cousins, but younger cousins by about 10 years. And I gave my interest to the three of them and turned the company over to them.
That's a big thing. Like you kind of offhandedly said that as part of your story earlier. And I'm like, man, there's a bunch of people listening going, why would he do that?
That gets into some dynamics that I don't know if this episode has enough time or you desire to go into.
Give us like the 3-sentence version. Like give us the real quick run.
I thought it was best if I just wasn't involved. It was a family. There was a lot of family dynamics. A lot of it's in my book that I just came out with a couple weeks ago. Not all of why I gave it away. I didn't answer that question, but family dynamics and just thinking it's probably best just to make that decision, which we did. My wife and I did willingly.
Just cut ties and move on.
Yeah.
That's good. Life's hard.
And the fact of the matter is I've since lost my little brother, but my two little cousins are thriving. I mean, the business is doing, so cool. I don't know, maybe exponentially even more than when I was there running it. So I'm super happy for them.
That's cool.
Worked out best for everybody.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Wally, you had a SaaS business and you considered that a lifestyle business from your vantage point. Is that right?
Yeah, so SaaS, software as a service business, started in 2003. And essentially we built website software systems for RV dealerships. And then we added marketing a little later on. But we essentially sold that as a subscription-based model that the RV dealership subscribed to. And so we had a decision to make early on. In 2005, working remote was not a popular thing. There's a company called... For all you tech heads out there that are listening to this, if there are any, you remember 37 Signals, which is actually now called Basecamp. And it's essentially like a task project management software. But these guys had developed that, and their whole strategy in 2005, 2006 was, hey, we're going to hire remote workers, W-2 remote workers to build our business. And so they had like a little, 2-room office kind of thing, I think, in Chicago. And then they started building their team. They wrote a book about it. And I used that as kind of the playbook I had a minority partner who was in Texas and I was in Michigan. And you know what the key thing was for me in making this decision about we were going to be a remote work from home business. We were going to hire employees that were going to also work from home. It was that the last couple of companies I had worked for, even as a contractor, I wanted so badly to have that freedom to control my own schedule. But there was nothing worse than walking out at 11 o'clock to go to a 2-hour lunch when everyone's staring at you leaving at 11 and wondering what you're doing for 2 hours while you're gone. I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that environment because it's human nature. You can't get away from it. And I'm like, I don't want that. And so I'm like, I wonder if we can do this thing remotely. And so that was a primary lifestyle choice of that's how I wanted it to be. And so we started hiring people. And at the end of the day, we grew to a team of 40, had 250 RV dealerships they worked with around the country. And it became quite a really cool business. But along the way, I made a lot of decisions around lifestyle. And primarily working from home was, I remember, this is so funny, it ties into this is going to sound like a negative, but it's people's perceptions. And I remember a couple of our folks, actually, we were we had hired, but we were working to hire them. Like this is 2007, 8, where working remotely still wasn't like that big of a thing yet. And we're interviewing them and they're talking to their family members and stuff. And they're like, oh my gosh, like that's gotta be a scam. Like no one does that. Like no one's gonna hire you. And like, this must be some like work from home scam thing. And it wasn't, but it was interesting how that shifted over time.
What I think's cool is a 2-hour lunch changed your life. And so that's pretty cool. Like you didn't want to explain a 2-hour lunch. I never would have thought of that. You know, something I was just thinking about the earlier conversation, Wally, between you and Allan, and I'm glad you brought this up because I've never looked at it until this moment, that I've had a number of businesses over the course of 44 years, and I've never considered any of them until this moment a lifestyle business because they were bricks and mortar, they were regional, but honestly, they were lifestyle businesses.
They were.
I didn't even think about it because I had a team. We had a number of pawn shops, and you know, if I've got access to the phone or the internet, you know, I can do what I need to do because I had, you know, management in place. I had partners in place. I could travel and did a number of times extensively. And I never thought about those being a lifestyle business until we had this conversation. I learned something on my own podcast. But this is so cool when I look back now and think about it. But fast forward in what I call our traditional lifestyle business now, Iron Sharpens Iron, which is, you know, our mastermind. The problem that I've got with that now is that we said earlier that can be any size business. And I had originally thought about this business, I was going to cap it at just a certain amount of members. And I didn't want to manage more than that. And then some people really got my attention. And I really prayed about it. The Lord said, hey, I'll decide when you stop this because it's a good thing. People's lives are being changed as a result of it. We're touching people all over the world. What I need to do is build my team. And that's what we started doing. Right. And we hired great folks, director of operation, the integrator, VP of sales, fractional CFO, admin help. And now I've got a lifestyle business that's scaling, that's still meeting all my needs. And some of the things for me, I don't know about y'all, but it's the autonomy and the flexibility really, really is important to me today. You know, I've never worked for anybody since I was 18. I've always worked for myself because I've wanted to have that level of autonomy and flexibility. And even in my schedule now, I've kind of laid out some hours. I said, this is when I'm going to work. And Robin said something to me yesterday. She said, I know you need to get back because it's not this time yet. And I said, Robin, it's more flex time. It's flexibility. I'll get everything done I need to get done. And that's the beauty of having a lifestyle business, right? I can still make it happen. If it's at 11 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock in the morning, we can still do that. What would you guys say for your lifestyle business is paramount for you? Like, what is one of the things you enjoy the most about this lifestyle business that we're discussing today? Allan, what do you enjoy most in your lifestyle business?
It's hard to just pick one thing, but
give a couple.
Yeah, for me, ultimately, it's freedom. I mean, maybe that sounds too broad and too, generic, but everything revolves around that. I mean, it's the freedom to be there when in the middle. I mean, right now, a child's not going to walk into my office because I've got a sign on my glass doors there that say I'm recording. But other than in the middle of a podcast interview, they can walk in on me and I can stop what I'm doing 9 times out of 10 and handle whatever needs to be done, whether my wife needs me, my children need me, someone else needs me, a friend needs me. And to me, that is the ultimate, to be able to just have that freedom of time to be able to set the schedule the way I want to set it and still have flexibility even within that.
What do you think, Allan, is a trade-off as a result of being in this business? Like, what are some things that you're willing to trade off in order to have your lifestyle business? You said what's important, that's the flexibility. What do you think a trade-off is to that?
For me, ego, pride.
I hadn't thought of that one, man.
Yeah, that was something I wrestled with.
Walk through that. Like, what do you frame that up? Yeah.
So for a year and a half, it took me a year and a half to decide to start this business. So from sometime actually late 2013 till March of 2015, that year and a half, I was wrestling with a few things. But now I can pinpoint it to the number one thing for me in that season was pride. It was ego. It was, and I see this all the time. I see it in my business all the time. In fact, well, I see it a lot. And I identify it, I think, easier because I see myself in these people. And it's like, I was the CEO of a $40 million business, earning a multiple 7-figure-a-year income and have 50 employees and all these things that fed my ego from what I perceived other people would respect me for and look up to me for.
Part of your identity, right?
Yeah.
It fully was my identity and a big part of it. And so to then go to being what I really wanted was I wanted no employees. I wanted no HR. I wanted none of those things. I wanted freedom and I wanted impact. I wanted to be doing something that mattered, that impacted people's lives, starting in my own four walls and going exponentially out from there. And so, but to take that, to make that choice, I was giving up something at least short term, perceived prestige to go make that decision. So that was my experience.
But you, Wally, what would you say is important to you in a lifestyle business?
I'm with Allan on the freedom thing, but for me, I'll take that another layer deeper. It's independence. So for me, it kind of goes back to that whole wanting to go to the office thing, right? And I didn't want someone looking over my shoulder all the time, not because I was doing anything wrong, but because I knew what I was capable of, what God had designed me to do, the talents and abilities He'd given to me, and the ability to learn and to adapt and to be able to understand easily and all that. So, matter of fact, when I sold, so I exited our business, I didn't give it away. but when I exited our business in the business that we had in 2019, we sold that to a, man, I can't even think of the word now. What do you call that? Private equity. And that was actually buying up all of our competition at the same time. And so I think we were the third one in out of 5. And, there was a lot of promises made there, which I think they would have kept, honestly. But 4 months after the sale, there was a CEO, a CFO shift, change out, which I didn't know was coming. So anyway, essentially I go to working into a corporation. I go from like being that small business where, I get to make decisions. And most of our decisions revolved around people because we were very lean. When we didn't make a widget, we made software. It takes people to develop software. And so when I remember my, his name is Travis. He was my director of technology, and he had gone through M&A before. And he said, "Hey, the one thing I want to warn you about as you go down this road is," he said, "you will regret if you become a lame duck." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're going to have a title, but no ability to make decisions."
You were warned on many fronts.
I know
about that.
And so when I sold, there was no earnout. I didn't want an earnout, and because I knew if I did an earnout, my whole reason for performing would be toward that earnout. Like, that's not fair to anybody. So I don't know why people do earnouts. I really don't, because I've not heard of one yet that's like been amazing for everyone.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, me either. It's crazy. I don't know why they do them. So I know why, but anyway. So I stayed on for about 9 months and really worked hard to get my team leaders integrated into the new company and to get them connected to the right people. That was a bit of work. Whole different story for a different day, but I exited my partner, which I wanted to do so badly. And then I remember having a conversation with Travis, and I was in a one-on-one I had with him. And he just was honest with me, man. He's like, "Kevin, you're miserable and you're a lame duck." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You have a vision that you can't execute." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And that moment I knew that my independence was taken away from me, which is what I needed the most in my core being. So I talked with the owners and we did like a 3-month transition out. But that whole idea of independence for me is what drive. It's not like freedom in the sense that that I get to make stupid decisions or control my own time because I'm selfish. It's not that. I know how God's designed me. And even Working Genius, we've been going through that. But for me, it's where I fall on the work scale is in wonder and discernment. And if you follow Working Genius at all, that's like in the ideation phase of work. And so I need independence to be able to do that.
And when you're a lame duck,
yeah,
you're cooked.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot of that back then. I didn't know how to put words to that right at the time, but that's what it was at the end of the day.
Hey, let me switch gears for a second and ask you a question, because I struggle with this a little bit, even struggling with it a little bit now. We teach in Iron Sharpens Iron to be givers, not takers. We teach to look out, to be servant leaders, to respect others, to think about them, to encourage them, to show empathy, all those things. Okay. But in a lifestyle business, invariably, we're wanting freedom. We're wanting flexibility. We're wanting our own schedule. It feels sometimes to me selfish. I don't know if y'all ever struggle with this or not, but you've even challenged me, Wally, as I get a little bit older, as I'm making some fourth quarter decisions, about my life. Well, what do you want? Just what do you want? And I'm like, well, it's not that easy to just say this is what I want, because it's affecting so many other people, right? And y'all have got staff people, you've got, other folks to consider. So how do we reconcile that? How do we have the flexibility, the freedom? We don't have to punch a clock. We can work today if we want to or don't want to, with the alignment of our mission. And our mission is helping ordinary people become extraordinary, right, in every area of their life. And how do y'all reconcile that? Do you ever think about that with our lifestyle type business?
I'll go first, man.
Yeah.
I struggled a bit with that when other people had other responsibilities and they're punching the 9 to 5-er, right? And here I am, taking off early afternoon to
2-hour lunch.
2-hour lunch,
Right.
right. So, like, even though they don't see that,
Sure.
I knew what they were doing, and they were working. And I think it was really important. I wasn't always great at this, but I was aware of it. And we're aware of it now, View from the Top, and we're working to actually use our own tools, right, inside of our own business, that to be able to discover what's important to other folks. And obviously, everyone that's working with us and has worked with us in the past or works with you now, and like everyone gets the choice to do what they want. Like they don't have to take that job. They don't have to sit there 9 to 5 if they want to do something else. Someone else can fill that seat, honestly. Like no one's irreplaceable. And so I think it's important to understand what's important to them, and that job for them is probably important. And if it is important, are there other things we can help them reach or accomplish to help them fulfill what's important to them? But if we don't ask, then we don't know. I feel so much better about knowing what's important to my team when I'm out doing things that are important to me.
I think that's cool, and we do that intentionally within View from the Top, the parent company of Iron Sharpens Iron. Mike Michalowicz, a lot of people out there will recognize that name. He's written a number of books. He's probably most noted for Profit First. And we interviewed Mike, and he said they do something really cool in their organization. They have a tree, like a real tree, in their lobby, and on the limbs, they've got everyone's goals written on the leaves. They look like leaves hanging off of this tree, and everybody is focused all the time. See, I love those kind of things, that when it's not just about us and Allan's life and Wally's life and Big A's life, being able to have, it's focusing on our team members. And I know we've got some amazing administrative staff, and we've tried to pour into them and do some teaching, and they've taught us a lot of things as well,
Sure.
But showing them some things that is instrumental and beneficial for them and helping them accomplish some of their goals and other team members. So I want the listeners to really think through today that when we're talking about a lifestyle business, it's not that your world is revolving around you. You're not the epicenter. It's what are the things that we can do for team members and other folks? You're downline, Allan. You got thousands of people downline. What are the things that you can do to make them more successful? That is such much more. I don't even know if that's a word or not, but it is so much better to be so mission focused in helping them. In that natural reciprocity, it comes back 10x to us as individuals, right? Not with the wrong motivation, but just to help them. talking about a little bit about sustainability and the consistent income. And oftentimes, like I didn't have a clue if what we're doing today would work. It's proven to be very successful, but I didn't know at the beginning. Allan, how did you deal with that in the beginning? Because if you don't sell something and get people to sell something, you don't get anything and drag it home, right? And so you've got to get out there. Were you nervous starting this lifestyle business in the infancy stages?
You know what? I wasn't nervous personally, only because I had a great income. I had a very successful brick and mortar business. And this was something I started in addition to. So I wasn't
dependent
I
on it.
wasn't
You had a good backstop.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't dependent on it. And so, but that being said, when I left the brick and mortar company and gave my interest away for a 90% pay cut, approximately income cut, yeah, I mean, there was definitely some realization at that point that this is getting really real. However,
Real quick.
I was okay, real quick, but I was okay with it because A, I thought it was God's will. B, I saw the trajectory of what had happened in 16 months as a sideline thing. And C, I cared more about the lifestyle business and the impact that was associated with it if my income never increased $1 from that point. So yes and no, more no than yes for me personally on that particular question.
I think you did something pretty wise, though, and I would encourage the listeners to really tap into this for a moment. You're not ever suggesting or recommending anyone put their family at risk. They go out there and sever their income stream. But on the flip side, so let's go to the flip side now. A lot of entrepreneurs out there today are saying have multiple streams of income, do these things. Do you think that's more of a distraction? Just your personal opinion.
I feel very passionate about this question, so I'm glad you asked it. This is obviously just my opinion, but this whole talk about multiple income streams, I believe, has gotten people. I mean, I did a little video on my social media, I don't know how many months ago about it, because I believe there's so many people that have missed the mark on this and they've just kind of gone astray. Now, do I believe in multiple streams of income? 100%. I have multiple streams of income and I highly recommend them. But the difference is I see people trying to build multiple streams of income initially. Let me say it a different way. This is what I believe. Crush one thing. It's hard enough to juggle one ball, let alone juggling two at the same time. Add three, even more difficult. Add four, nobody does that. Nobody, 99.9% of people don't do that well. I've never seen somebody really go out and just smash two businesses at the same time like they could have if they've done one. So my personal especially in my industry, so I'd personally recommend get really good at one thing and start diversifying that income into multiple streams of investments would be my first choice. It's just my opinion.
Wally,
I love it. Well, I had a guy. So I had a guy. This is so funny you say this, because I had a guy I was talking to a couple weeks ago, and we were in person. And first time I'd met him in person, and he comes up to me and we're talking, and he says, he's like, I said, hey man, so we're little chit chat, and then I'm like, hey, so explain like what do you do? What are you passionate about? Oh man, I got like 5 businesses, man. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm just going here, going there, and he saw the look on my face, because normally the look is what? Oh my gosh, like that's amazing. And I was like, I had no expression. And he's like, you don't think that's a good thing? I said, are you happy and fulfilled? He's like, no, man, I'm like a chicken with my head cut off. Not making any money. I was like, yeah, not, but societally, that sounds like a real, you mentioned identity and you're being a CEO.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that can't work, but I think for most people, I think they should really, I'm with you, man. They should really evaluate, the areas that you can be really good at, you're passionate about, you can make income at, build that, let God work through that, man. And then those other diversification opportunities are going to come.
Yeah.
Allan, you said something pretty cool, and there again, it's just personal preference. We all have personal preferences. You said take the resources and put that to work for you. What are some things you enjoy doing as it relates to personal investments?
Well, my favorite personal investment is real estate. And I know there's plenty of people that would probably like to tell me that it's not that I wouldn't be the wisest man to put 90% of my investments into real estate, but I would obviously disagree with them. That's why I do it. But real estate is where I'm heavily invested. So, but I do believe in diversifying within real estate. So, and that's what I've done. I've from, multifamily apartment complexes to plenty of single family homes to short-term Airbnbs. I wouldn't recommend somebody take it all and go into the short-term rental market or all into the long-term rental market or, all into
diversify
motels, hotels. Yeah. I mean, diversification, I believe within that space is pretty critical based on the cyclical cycles and seasons. I'm glad mine wasn't all commercial office space when COVID came along, so just.
That's true. You've been in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm in your camp, real estate for me. Robin and I was talking not too terribly long ago, it's maybe a couple of years ago now, that it really dawned on us that 50% of our income for our whole marriage, 44 years now, has been from real estate. And so I'm passionate about that as well. Wally, before we move on, what about you?
Man, it's interesting you asked that. So I'm just starting to figure out and learn about some of the real estate things. So when I sold my business, I just took that bunch of cash and put it. It's great. It's a great timing. We sold in November of 2019, had multiple seven figures sitting there in the bank. And then
if you'd waited till now,
hang on.
So.
And then at the end of January, it was like January 20th or something, I put it all in the markets of 2020. And so literally
We'll stay with our real estate out.
Yeah. And so that's been rectified now and whatnot, but I've moved 50% of that out and even a little bit more than that. And I've just been doing a lot of hard money loans right now. I've been doing some bridge loans with some people, some business bridge loans, and hard money loans with real estate. I'm looking forward to getting with you, Allan. A plan was to reach out to you and just say, hey, can I sit down with you and learn a little bit more about what you're doing and how you're going about it, so I can learn more about the real estate game outside of just providing loans and things. Yeah. So it's pretty cool that had you on here and be able to follow up with you.
I look forward to that conversation. I do some hard money lending as well, only in the real estate space. In fact, I had somebody just approached me yesterday about making a loan on some equipment in a business equipment. I'm like, man, that's outside my wheelhouse. I've never done it. Don't know what secures that loan, and I'm not sure I want to find out. Not sure I want to find out the hard way.
No, you don't. You can learn, but get somebody that's competent in that space.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say the three of us really enjoy lifestyle businesses, right? They're all different, but I think the takeaway, honestly, for me today is looking at your business as a lifestyle business and not go with the conventional description of it. First of all, you've got to decide if a lifestyle business is for you. Whatever that looks like, and to your definition, Wally, I think it can be, right? Just to do it intentionally, do it very purposely. Surround yourself, I think, with trusted advisors that can really make your dream a reality. That's the thing that we do collectively. We are all in Iron Sharpens Iron Mastermind, and we have unbiased, trusted advisors that give us feedback every single week. And then twice a year we meet in person. And it's just been a safe haven for me, and I know it has for y'all as well, to help make those dreams become a reality. Think about creating that revenue stream where money is a sustainable model, where you can live that very full and meaningful life. And honestly, I think there is nothing like having autonomy and flexibility, as we've all talked about, so that you can live that life that you've wanted to do. Listen, go out there, give this podcast some consideration. Think about how you too can live that life of success and significance.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening in today. We had Big A, we had Allan on. I thank Allan so much for joining us. It was just a really good conversation about, obviously about lifestyle business and some choices that we made along the way. We're going to continue this conversation actually over in the private Facebook group page, just for View from the Top podcast listeners. So the easiest way to get there is actually go to viewfromthetop.com/group. That's GROUP. You'll be redirected over there. We're continuing the conversation. We got some questions we're posting in there. And man, if you want to know, hey, more about this idea of I've got this more like traditional business, and how do I take this into a lifestyle type business? How do I make choices differently? How do I think about my business differently? Come in there, come join us in there, ask those questions, be able to answer. Maybe you've got it figured out. Come on in there, help another guy out. So we hope to see you in there. That's vfromthetop.com/group. We'll see you there, and we will see you next time.